Boogeyman band coming round the bend. Is boogeyman band. Is boogeyman band.
Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends, and thanks so much for dropping by the Horror Zone channel. I hope everyone's doing well. Today is the first of 3 very special videos that I'm going to be releasing over the course of this week. We are celebrating the 40th anniversary of one of my favorite films of all time, one of the most important films of all time, that being 1983's Psycho 2. For today, I want to talk about a very important element of this film, and that is the amazing score done by Jerry Goldsmith. Now, I have several versions of this score. This is the one that Entrada put out in 2014. I also have it on cassette, which I bought off of eBay. And in summer of 2020, I got the vinyl release. And the score for this film has always affected me. Now, I'm going to play a few pieces of this score for you, some of my favorite pieces. And I'm also, as these pieces are playing, I'm going to read some history about, how Jerry Goldsmith was picked to do the score for the film and how he did a complete 180 with what Bernard Herrmann brought to that original Psycho film that Alfred Hitchcock directed in 1960. Just as Alfred Hitchcock earned the moniker the Master of Suspense, composer Bernard Herrmann became synonymous with music of suspense and horror throughout his work for Hitchcock and later directors like Brian De Palma. His all-string score for Psycho was every bit as iconic as the film itself, and his scoring of the original movie Shower Murder of Janet Leigh's character is arguably the most famous piece of musical underscore in horror movie history. Franklin and Universal upped the ante on any composer willing to score Psycho 2 by opening the movie with the original Psycho shower sequence, a way of connecting the sequel to its predecessor. By 1983, Jerry Goldsmith was well placed to step into the shoes of Bernard Herrmann, if only for one film. His imagination and mastery of orchestration had made him a particular favorite of producers of horror and suspense films, and director Richard Franklin eagerly sought him out to score Psycho 2. For Psycho 2, Goldsmith retained the coiling, aggressive string writing he developed through all his previous efforts, but grounded the score with a melody for ghostly electronics and strings, one that gets to the heart of the Norman Bates character in an unexpected way. I tried to get a feeling of innocence and sympathy for Norman, Goldsmith said in an interview with Stephen Seamack in a 1983 issue of Cinema's Score. You're trying to guess who was doing all the naughty work, and you want to keep Norman sort of out of it and have people guessing at everyone else. And Norman was a victim too. Goldsmith's theme reinforces Tom Holland's already effective approach of making Norman sympathetic. It plays in cues like the house, Mother's hand, and Mother's room, as the memory of Norman's once happy childhood, his painful attempts to reintegrate into society, and even late in Don't Take Me as a wistful love theme for Norman and Mary as the daughter of Lila Loomis begins to shift her loyalty for her domineering mother to the struggling Norman. There's an especially haunting treatment of the theme near the film's end, Expected Guest, as Norman is reunited with his real mother. Reportedly, Anthony Perkins was so moved by hearing a cassette recording of Goldsmith's demo of the theme that he wept. In the score's main theme, Goldsmith wistful theme for Norman plays against a repeating 4-note piano figure, one that slithers off into an odd direction as is about to repeat a 4th time. Like mother and son, the piano motif is related to the theme for Norman and hints at his madness, driving numerous cues to the score. Interestingly, Goldsmith slows the piano motif down to a crawl in several cases, especially She's Not Dead in the beginning of It's Not Your Mother, accompanied by unnerving, pitch-bending synthesizer tones as a way of illustrating Norman's slow, inevitable descent into insanity. The motif develops into an even more erratic, mysterious, and eventually menacing mother theme as Mrs. Bates seems to haunt and hector Norman, and as the film's mysterious murders occur. The mother theme plays early in the cellar on metallic gong-like instruments, but it appears in many guises throughout the score. For Psycho 2, Goldsmith creates a hissing, slashing sound for the murders, Toomey's death, basement killing, and adds the sounds of knives being sharpened in these cues, and his merely suggestive moments like cheese sandwich as Norman cuts a sandwich for Mary. Most of the score's synthesizer sounds have an ugly metallic sound, and even in the ethereal, haunting Mother's room, the pinging, decorative synthesizer effects that glitter around Norman's theme have a clangorous quality. Goldsmith's brilliance shines particularly in the film's twisty conclusion. Throughout the film, he sows the seeds of confusion regarding Norman's guilt or innocence, enfolding the character in a warm and haunting melody and a creeping piano motif that could suggest either the presence of a second killer or Norman's own madness bubbling to the surface. His delicate scoring of expected guests as Norman reunites with his real mother at last maintains doubt right up to the final shocking seconds. But as Norman places mother in her rightful perch on the second floor of the Bates mansion, Psycho 2 end title, and stands proudly outside silhouetted against storm clouds, Goldsmith's score erupts in full-throttled horror, finally admitting to the character's true native just before the end credits roll. This was written by Jeff Bond and is part of the insert for the Intrada release of Psycho 2. The main and end titles for this film have always been my favorite pieces of the score because of just how they made me feel. There's a sadness, there's a haunting quality to them. And this film, to me, has always been a very tragic film in the way that it wraps up. And I remember watching it for the first time, and it was kind of the first film that I ever saw where the main character was somebody I was rooting for that ends up losing at the end, and in more ways than one. And even though there's a lot more black comedy in this film that's kind of peppered through it that I didn't really pick up on until I got a little bit older, that last shot of the film always stuck with me. This shot right here, which they were smart and used for the cover for the album as well as the movie poster. But yeah, it's always bothered me, and still to this day, it still haunts me, and I still feel like that 10-year-old boy watching it in the summer of 1984 on HBO, and just being captivated by every element that made it the brilliant film that it is, and one of those being this amazing score by Jerry Goldsmith. I can't say enough great things about it. I'm grateful that I was able to find that on eBay. I'm grateful that I still have it on cassette, and I love this Intrada release, and I've had it for almost 10 years, and I remember the day that I got it. I was so excited to listen to it and go through it. And that piece that I read is from the insert in this, and it really just gives a great overview about what Jerry Goldsmith was going for when he decided to take on and score this film. The music has always been one of the key components that has made the film so indelible to me and has made it such an important film to me. Like I said, I can hold up two films and say that they completely changed my life. One of them is Psycho 2, the other is Salem's Lot. And both those films are like old friends to me. As much as I respect and love Hitchcock's original film, it can't touch this film for me. And that's someone that's talking as a Hitchcock fan who respects that amazing auteur and what he brought to movies and filmmaking. But because this was my introduction to the Psycho universe and the Norman Bates character, for me, everything in this film just works. I'll go into more details about that when I cover the film. But I wanted to make sure I started out this week talking about this amazing score by the amazing late Jerry Goldsmith. Posting this on social media that I was going to be focusing on the film for its upcoming 40th anniversary. A friend of mine told me that she hadn't even seen the film, and it just surprised me. And she said she's going to watch it, and I really hope she enjoys it. I think a lot of people need to support this film because it is kind of an underrated gem. I think a lot of people look at a sequel and think it's lesser, but for me, this film is just as important as the original 1960 classic, and in many ways, it's much more important to me. So we'll get more into that as the series continues. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I'm going to get really, personal about some of this stuff because this film did impact me greatly, and unlike Salem's Lot, it bothered a member of my family that I was so infatuated with the Anthony Perkins performance and the character and just some of the themes that the film's tackled. It really bothered my mom when I was growing up, and it is something I'm going to talk more about when I focus on the late great actor. So thanks so much everyone for watching. I hope everyone's doing well, and I promise I'll talk to you again real soon. Take it easy. Stay scared as always. fellow Fright Fiends, just want to say thank you again for supporting Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone. If you're brand new to the channel and you haven't yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification so you're updated every time I drop a new video. I typically do this once or twice a week with new content. I've been doing this for over 11 years, and the horror genre is a passion of mine, and it really means a lot to me that I can share that passion with all of you guys. Thanks so much again for the support, and I'll talk to you again later. Take it easy, stay scared as always. Peace.